guys, welcome back to Create, Repair, Restore. This is our second video in our series of basic home repair videos. Today we're going to be changing a light switch in this bathroom, and I'm going to walk you through it step by step on how to do it with just simple hand tools. So these are the 5 tools that you could potentially need for this job. You've got a multimeter, you've got a set of lineman's pliers, a Phillips and a flathead screwdriver, a voltage detector, and some wire strippers. You very well may not need the wire strippers, but these other 4 are kind of non-negotiable. You're probably going to need them. You could substitute these with needle nose pliers, or really any pliers you could get away with. Alright, so first thing we're going to need to do is confirm the power is off to the light switch. And so what we're going to need to do first is grab a flathead screwdriver. I'm using a 6-in-1 here, so it has a Phillips and a flat-in-1 screwdriver. And we're going to remove these 4 cover plate screws that are all flatheads. If you just had a standard light switch that did not also have the outlet, it would only be 2 screws. Alright, now that the cover's removed, we're going to use a tool called a voltage detector or power detector. As you can see, it is lit up green right now. When it comes into contact with 120 volts or 240 volts of electricity, it will turn red and it will beep. These are available at all hardware stores, Amazon, Walmart. They're fairly inexpensive, maybe $10 to $30 depending on the brand you buy. I'm going to hold this up to the black power wire hooked up to the light switch. And as you can see, this is still currently hot. I'm going to do that again just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so we know that this has power. So let me go turn the breaker off and I'll be right back. Okay, now power should be off, so we're going to take our voltage detector and we're going to check one more time, holding the end of the voltage detector right up to that screw that has the black power wire, and as you can see, no more red, no more beeping, stays green. Green means safe. So now we're going to turn the voltage detector off, and we're going to take our screwdriver, and in my case I'm going to flip it over to Phillips head, and we're going to remove the 2 mounting screws that hold this switch into the gang box. I apologize, on this one they decided to use wood screws to mount this in here, so they are a little longer and more difficult to get out than your average screw would be. Normally there would be some flathead screws that were more machine thread that mount these into the box. As you can see, they used some 2-inch or 1.5 inch maybe wood screws to mount that. That's not normally what you're going to find, but still easy enough to get out. So we're going to pull this switch gently until it comes out of our gang box, and it exposes the wires for us. This particular switch does not have very much length available to us, so I'm going to pull you off the tripod and give you a closer look here. Okay, on this particular switch, we don't have a lot of length of wire to work with. And as you can see, we confirmed earlier that this bottom wire is our constant hot, which means this bottom wire is carrying in our 120 volts into this bottom lug. And when you flip the light switch, it would feed that 120 volts up to this top lug, which then feeds it out this top wire and up to our light fixture. So what you're going to want to do, taking care to remember which wire was on which lug, you would take a Phillips head screwdriver, loosen each lug, and remove them from the switch. In this case, this wire is being a little bit of a pain, so I'm going to grab my pliers and I'm going to use them to give me some more leverage to push that wire off of that lug. And as you can see, there's now a loop that used to be around that screw, and we're going to take care to install it the exact same way on the new switch. So then I would just need to remove this second lug. Like so, and as you can see, that also has a loop bent into it. Now on some switches, you'd also have a bare copper wire that would be on this green ground screw on the bottom. On this particular setup, that ground wire is already tied into the ground with the rest of the box, so it's not actually attached to the switch. But in a lot of cases it will be, and it would be the exact same process as these two wires. You would just take that bare copper wire, put you a little loop in it, and then reinstall it onto this lug. This switch is actually good, so we're just going to go ahead and reinstall it by remembering where our wires were, putting that bottom wire back on the bottom screw, taking care that that loop is pressed tightly up against the threads of this screw, so that way as I tighten it down, the head gets a good bite into the copper. Okay, so that one's nice and tight. Now we're going to do the same thing to this top one. And you may have to kind of bend them and play with them a little bit to get them to pop into place, like so. We're going to put tension on that wire so that it stays tight up against the threads. And we're going to tighten our screw down, taking care that that copper is nice and pinched underneath the head of that screw. Now, it's the exact reverse of what we did before. We're going to gently push the switch back into the box, making sure that it does not bind up. If it does, then you may have to kind of rearrange the wires in the box to make sure that it's allowing it to go back in properly. In this case, we're fine, and we don't need to do that. So I'm going to take our two screws and get them both started. Okay, and now that our screws are all the way tightened down, we just want to take a second before we get them completely snug to make sure the switch is straight and it looks nice and aligned in the box. In this case, that switch needs to go to the left a little on the bottom, so I went ahead and did that. Now it looks nice and centered within the box. And we'll go ahead and flip our power back on and confirm that the light switch is still functioning correctly before we go ahead and put the faceplate back on. Okay, so our power's back on now, and we're going to confirm that this light switch does indeed work. As you can see, our light switch does indeed work correctly, so we're now safe to go ahead and put our cover plate back on. So we're going to get this aligned, making sure that it pops into place correctly, which this one did, which kind of also tells you that your alignment on your switch is pretty decent if it's not a fight to get the cover to go back into place correctly. And you'll take your 4 flathead screws that we used previously, and we will get these all put back into the plate, taking care not to over tighten them, as you can crack it with it being just a small plastic plate. Just snug is plenty, does not need to be any tighter than that. Okay, and that's how you replace a light switch. Quick, easy, and something every homeowner should know how to do. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe for more similar content. We're going to be posting a video like this every week with a different basic home repair that you can do with just basic hand tools. Also, throw something in the comments that you'd like to see an explanation or a tutorial on.